Won't it be Ryan the Great? And today we are talking more NBA news, guys. There has been just so much NBA news that has happened over the past couple of days ahead of the NBA draft. My full draft reaction will come in probably in a couple of days, actually, maybe tomorrow. Because time I'm filming this, June 26th is the day of the second round. The first round is already concluded, which we will not have the Mark Williams trade in there in this video. Um, but yeah, we're just gonna be talking about all the big news that has happened in the NBA now. Obviously, there are some restrictions on these deals. These deals can't be official until like July 1st or whatever it is when the new year actually does start for the NBA. So yeah, we're having some big news happening. Drew Holiday's been traded. CJ McCollum, Jordan Poole, Kristaps Porzingis, all the to name a few. We're also going to be talking about Fred VanVleet, Kyrie Irving, both re-signing with their respective teams. So, yeah, lots of news happening in the NBA, and I think we're just going to be kind of doing this throughout the summer where we're just going to be doing like news that is happening in chunks, unless there's like a really big move, say like Kevin Durant. Or like the Sixers make some move. Obviously, that's the Philly sports what we cover the most over here. But yeah, we're just gonna get right into this. You guys don't want to hear me rambling on, so let's just get right into it. We are back though, in our at home. The mock draft video was so terrible. The internet was just abysmal. I do apologize for that. I mean, I was so mad after that video. You guys could probably see it. I was just not looking like myself there. I was really upset about that. I never really get upset after a video, but like about the quality or anything. But that was just, I was just very upset about that one. But yeah, let's just get right into it. But before we get right into it, guys, make sure you guys subscribe with your post notifications on. Go subscribe to my Barley and the Great blogs. Make sure you guys subscribe to my second channel at Ryan the Combat Great. Make sure you guys go follow me on X Ryan the Great RTG. Make sure you guys go follow me on TikTok at Ryan the Great RTG. Make sure you guys go listen to the latest edition of the CR7 podcast. Make sure you guys go follow me on Instagram at Ryan Sully Sports Media. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's get right into the video. So starting off with the very first trade, we're kind of going to go in chronological order of the times that these moves were made. So with that being said, the first trade of this video that we're going to be discussing, the Boston Celtics. This is coming from all these moves are coming from Shams. I guess you guys get that. But anyway, from Shams Charania, breaking. The Boston Celtics have traded Drew Holiday to the Portland Trailblazers for Anthony Simons and 2 second-round picks, sources tell ESPN. So, Drew Holiday, for some background, it was traded to the Portland Trailblazers during the Damian Lillard trade, or in the midst of that Damian Lillard trade, and then he was traded from Portland to Boston, which led them to winning his second championship. But now he has been traded back to Portland, and I'm not sure if the Trailblazers are going to be holding on to Drew Holiday. That's something we have to discuss in this video. So, starting off, what does this mean for the Boston Celtics? Well, Simons is the same age as Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, so the timeline matches up. But we're also kind of forgetting here. Anthony Simons can be a really, really good player. I feel like he can kind of be a contributor in Derek White, but with just a little bit more scoring. So Derek White, obviously, he can shoot the three ball. He can drive to the paint, plays really good defense on the perimeter. Anthony Simons, I think he could do a little bit more than Derek White, but he just scores at a more, I don't know if I want to say efficient, but he just scores the ball more, I guess you should say. Maybe that's because he plays on a team in Portland that doesn't have that many scores overall. But Simons pretty efficient from the three ball. Throughout his career, I mean, he's been a 20-point per game scorer. Never really, an all-star caliber player, just because we don't really know, what he can do. As I'm trying to pull these stats up, I should have had this ready beforehand. But I mean, Simons has been good overall, but we just don't know like what he can, like how he can do in such a winning culture. Yeah, last season, 19 points per game, 2 rebounds, 4 assists on 42% shooting. So I mean, that's not bad at all. Three ball, I mean, only 36%. He's a career 38% shooter. He's taken a bit of a dip from last year, but I mean, he he obviously has has had some injury concerns in the past, but he did play 70 games last year, so that is something to look forward to if you are the Boston Celtics. But Holiday, he is getting older. He has a bigger contract. His production went down last season, only averaged 11 points per game last season. And I think that's something you got to look into there. He's 35 years old. The Boston Celtics, their core is getting older. They've been injured. Holiday was injured. Porzingis was injured. Tatum obviously got injured in the end. Everybody was getting hurt. And the older guys who were the key role players were getting injured. So now you're going to bring in someone like Simons, who is going to be a key role player for this team. I don't know if I want to say role player, but I guess you could say in the playoffs, he would definitely be a key role player. But he's going to have to take a bigger role on this team because Jason Tatum is not going to be in for at least the majority of the season. Might be out for the entire 2025-2026 season. So yeah, I think it's a good move for Boston. Honestly, you're getting a younger star. I mean, he's only 26 years old. He's going to be entering his physical prime in the next 2 years or so, and that's when Tatum is going to be relatively healthy again. And once again, he can score the ball at a high level. I mean, I don't want to sound repetitive here, but at my bottom point here, will the Celtics keep moving guys? The Boston Celtics apparently have gotten a lot of calls about Derek White and Jaylen Brown. Could they trade them? Listen, the Boston Celtics, their cap space, very, 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 in a very, very bad situation. That's the way the new CBA is. You can trade all these guys. You can get a superstar lineup, but you can only really have it assembled for 1 or 2 years before you got to, disassemble it because of the fact that, you're going to get over the second apron, and that handicaps your team. So if you're the Boston Celtics, you might have to end up trading Derek White. Jaylen Brown, I don't know. I feel like that's that could be a stretch, but I mean, once again, the contract is just so big. But if you're the Celtics, I would consider holding on to Jaylen Brown, or I probably would hold on to Jaylen Brown. I just want to see how he does as a number one option. I've always said that if Jaylen Brown can be the number one option he could possibly lead them to a championship team, or possibly be better than Jason Tatum. I don't know, but I think that you should definitely keep Jaylen Brown. And honestly, Derek White, you could be able to get a few first-round picks for him. Depending on how valuable they are, you can definitely get a few first-round picks for Derek White. But yeah, I think it's a good trade for Boston. For Portland, I mean, I don't know. How do you grade this trade? Because are they moving on from Holiday? Like, are they going to keep him, or are they not going to keep him? It doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't really make sense for Portland to move on from Holiday. Listen, I understand why you moved on from Simons. You're not going to be winning a championship in the next few years. I mean, let's get that straight. Simons has been a bit injured. Boston's obviously taking on that risk. But yeah, Holiday could be brought in for veteran leadership for guys like Scoot Henderson. I mean, I know that guys like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander have been on the record saying how Chris Paul has been such a great mentor to him, and he wouldn't be the player that he is without Chris Paul. So maybe the Trailblazers are thinking that could be the same way here with Holiday and maybe possibly Scoot Henderson. I don't know. I feel like that if you hold on to Holiday, you're holding on to a big contract. But I guess the Blazers aren't really paying anybody right now. But you are holding on to a bigger contract. I mean, once again, that doesn't matter. But there really is no reason to keep Holiday other than you want to try and be at least somewhat competitive. And once again, the Blazers are not going to be winning, let alone get into the play-in tournament for the next few years. It just doesn't really make much sense to hold on to him. And then they also could be moving on from DeAndre Ayton and Robert Williams III. I mean, once again, DeAndre Ayton, former first overall pick, doesn't really seem like he's going to be contributing much. To a championship level team. I know he was contributing to the Phoenix Suns, but he kind of was a weak point in their lineup. And Robert Williams, being a guy with an injury history, he's not much of a scorer. Obviously contributed a lot to Boston and their playoff runs, but once again, it doesn't really make much sense to hold on to these guys. You just don't know I just don't really know where the Blazers are, and it's hard to grade this trade or even like make an opinion on this trade because you don't know what they're doing. Obviously, the trade was made a couple of days ago, but they still haven't found a partner for Drew Holiday. Normally, they would just trade him right away. So I don't know. But these draft picks, can be used for trades in the future. To get future assets, so that's fine. But I don't know. I don't really know how to grade the Blazers because I don't know what they're doing. But yeah, we'll have to see. And then our next trade here, New Orleans Pelicans are trading C.J. McCollum, Kelly Olynyk, and a future second-round pick to the Washington Wizards for Jordan Poole, Saddiq Bey, and the 40th pick in the NBA draft. So, yeah, moving on. What does this mean for the Pelicans? Now, listen, this is a risky move for the Pelicans just because of the fact that you get a guy in Jordan Poole who is very inconsistent. He played really bad in his first I guess say really bad in his first season with the Wizards, honestly. He was not great at all, very inefficient, making very weird plays, not using his basketball IQ to his full potential. And he just didn't look good overall, honestly. And I felt that was a shame for Jordan Poole, but what are you going to do? But I think Poole, he can turn into a star possibly with the New Orleans Pelicans. There is upside to this trade. And his advanced statistics definitely say that he can be a good player or even a star with the right players around him. When you look at his blocks plus minus score, his value over a replacement player, his offensive box plus minus, he can be a good player. with the right players around him, said by his advanced statistics. And the New Orleans Pelicans, they have good players around them. Like, I'm not saying that the Pelicans are a badly constructed roster. It's just that they're never healthy. Part of the reason because of the man you see on your screen, Zion Williamson, never healthy, never in there. He's had lawsuits against him. Problems with his the kid, the mother of his kids. I mean, I don't know what the hell's going on with this dude. I mean, it seems like he's in the news for such the wrong reasons, and he's been in the league since for so long. I don't understand. Like, he's got to figure this out here. And I've never really talked about Zion Williamson like this because you only talk about him when he's not playing or when he's on the court, and that's what I do. I talk about guys when they're on the court. But I mean, he can't because he hasn't been on the court to play, so it just doesn't make any sense. But yeah, as I said, I think this is a risky trade for the Pelicans. I mean, once again, you can turn Jordan Poole into a star, but McCollum, the upside, the immediate upside, McCollum is getting a bit older, coming off an injury, also has an expiring contract coming up next season. I don't know if you're going to be able to re-sign him, and even if you were, you're going to have to pay him a lot of money for a 33-year-old star. It just doesn't really make that much sense. Doesn't really fit the Pelicans' timeline, if you ask me. And yeah, I think if Jordan Poole has the ability to turn himself into a star. The guys got to get on the court. They got to be able to work around. They got to be able to work with him, and he's got to be able to work with his teammates. Obviously, we know what happened with Jeremiah Green, and then also you get Sadiq Bey. I mean, the guy averaged 13 points per game on 41% shooting. Just a few years ago, I know he was out for the entirety of the of last season. I think he had a knee injury or something around there. But you have the opportunity to do well with Sadiq Bey. Can definitely fit into your rotation, saying that he plays next season to a high level. The guy's only 26 years old. I don't know if you want to move on from him or keep him. I don't know if he's in your plans, but yeah, I mean, you'll be all right. I think it's a risky trade, but it could also turn out really, really well for the Pelicans. But they got to stay healthy. And then what does this mean for the Washington Wizards? I mean, I think this is a great trade for the Wizards, honestly. McCollum, he brings the veteran leadership, and his expiring contract fits your cap space well. You probably won't bring him back after next season. And you could probably trade him at the trade deadline, honestly. Get some future assets for him. He's bringing that veteran leadership to those guys. They understand how to play the game a little bit better just under his leadership and under the way he plays the game. Because he could still play at a high level, but, injuries and the fact he's getting older, teams are obviously going to, I wouldn't say move away, but not be willing to use him in a big effective role. But yeah, once again, you could still trade him at the trade deadline, get future assets while he does have an expiring contract. There are going to be a lot of championship teams out there, or at least teams that are trying to compete for a championship. They're going to be, really getting tight at the deadline, thinking, all right, maybe we don't have enough assets. Maybe we need to bring in a guy like CJ McCollum to lead our team to a championship. So he could possibly do that, and you could possibly get some assets for him. And I'm talking about how Jordan Poole could possibly turn into a star with the New Orleans Pelicans, but he could also flop. He could, fizzle out. Like, it doesn't, like, I'm not saying Jordan Poole's guaranteed to become a star. I just said it a few minutes ago. This is a very big risk for the Pelicans. And if you're the Wizards, you're not really taking much of a risk, in my opinion. So, the Wizards are in on it with their rebuild. You bring in McCollum to bring in some veteran leadership to the guys. He can also play at a decently high level. And I think this is a good trade for the Washington Wizards. And then you get Kelly Olynyk. I mean, he doesn't really bring much, but, he's a journeyman. But, yeah, moving on to our next trade. This is the three-team trade. The breaking from Shams Charania. Boston, Atlanta, and Brooklyn are finalizing a three-team trade that sends Kristaps Porzingis and a second-round pick to the Hawks, Terrence Mann and Atlanta's 22nd pick to the Nets, and George Niang and a second-round pick to the Boston Celtics. So, first off, what does this mean for the Boston Celtics? I mean, once again, you are unloading your salary just because of the second apron. You need to get rid of Porzingis' contract. And you get somebody like George Niang, who, while he doesn't play, he's not as big as Porzingis. I mean, his game, I wouldn't say is similar, but it kind of is at the end of the day. They both can shoot the three ball. They both can drive it into the paint. Obviously, Porzingis has a better post game than George Niang, but these guys are a little similar when you think about it, and they can play similar roles on the Boston Celtics at the end of the day. So, I mean, you get rid of Porzingis for a less talented Porzingis, and you're not paying as much money. I mean, honestly, I can't necessarily hate on it if I'm the Boston Celtics. But once again, you have to ask the question, what are they going to do with Derek White and Jaylen Brown? Are they going to get traded? That's still in the back of your mind. So that's the thing. That's the thing there. But yeah, Boston, I mean, I honestly can't hate on the trades that they're making. Your starting lineup for next season, Derek White, Simons, Brown, Niang, and Al Horford if he stays. So, or Luke Cornett. I mean, your lineup isn't terrible. Is it a championship roster? possibly next year in the East, based off of how many injuries there are. And the East is going to be very wide open. They're going to be limited teams to win the championship. So honestly, I can't hate if I'm the Boston Celtics. Obviously I'm a Sixers fan. I hate the Celtics, but I honestly can't hate on this move. It's a pretty good one. I don't know what Niang's contract is, but it's definitely not as big as Porzingis. And then what does this mean for the Atlanta Hawks? I don't know what this means for the Hawks. You add size. Your team desperately needed size. So you get a 4 or a 5, depending on where you put Porzingis. This move doesn't really mean much. The Hawks they're not going anywhere. So I don't know. It doesn't make sense. I don't know. Why? You add size, you add a pick and roll guy to help with Trae Young, but your team is not that great overall. I guess you could probably fit into the playoffs, but you're not going to be winning a championship. I don't know. The Hawks aren't really giving up much. They're giving up a role player that you had for half a year, and really nothing else. So, yeah, you're giving up Man, who's a very good role player. I don't know. It just doesn't really make that much sense to me. And as I have here, the injury history doesn't really that means that this move could possibly not turn out. I know Porzingis. Yeah, we all know Porzingis had injury history. The doctors don't even really know what's wrong with him, to be honest with you, and that's very scary for NBA teams. So I don't know. I don't really know how this move works out for the Hawks. Once again, they're not winning a championship, and I don't know. You could possibly make the playoffs, but you're not going to go anywhere. So I don't know. We'll see. It doesn't really move the needle at all, honestly. Honestly, I like the trade better for the Celtics and the Nets than I do for the Hawks. Speaking of the Nets, what does it mean for the Brooklyn Nets? You had a really good role player in Terrence Mann, who I'm a really big fan of. He can get to the rim, he can shoot the 3 ball, defends pretty well, has a lot of versatility. I like Terrence Mann. He's a very good player. I wanted to get him in the James Harden trade with the Clippers, but they wouldn't give him up. And there's a reason for that. And then you add another pick. You have a multitude of draft picks, so you add another draft pick. That can't hurt at all. The Brooklyn Nets, they made 5 first-round picks last night. While I don't think all of them were absolutely incredible, you at least got to hit on one of them, so we'll see. But yeah, you have a lot of draft picks in the next couple of years. Why not use them well? Or why not stock up on more and stock up on a good role player that you could possibly develop and use for the future? I like it. I like to move for the Nets. And then the signing here, Kyrie Irving has signed with the Dallas Mavericks from Shams Charania breaking. Dallas Mavericks 9-time NBA All-Star Kyrie Irving is declining his $43 million player option and intends to sign a 3-year, $119 million contract with the franchise, sources tell ESPN. The deal includes a player option in the 2027 through 2028 season. So what does this mean for the Dallas Mavericks? You absolutely needed to get this done if you are Nico Harrison. Kyrie Irving declining his player option. There was some negotiation going on. I think I heard, you're hearing through the grapevine that Irving was not too happy about the Mavericks, who, they weren't offering him what he thought that he was worth. Apparently, Irving was going to get around $50 million per year, even $45 million per year if he didn't get injured and tear his ACL. But yeah, if you're Nico Harrison, it's a good move. You get Kyrie Irving back long term. Technically, only a 2-year deal, obviously, with the player option. And you get him to sign a contract that is pretty good, honestly. He took a pay cut. So if you're Nico Harrison, I'm a big fan of this. But while this is a good move for the Mavericks in their tight championship window, they lowballed Kyrie Irving. They definitely deserve more money. And he's been great for the Dallas Mavericks. I know he's had a lot of controversy in Brooklyn, but that hasn't happened here in Dallas. And he's really played well. So I have had I'm a big fan of what Irving has been doing. And they lowballed him. And with this new ownership, this new ownership doesn't really seem like they care about their players. They traded Doncic away for quarters on the dollar, in my opinion. Honestly, if I could compare the Dallas Mavericks' new ownership with anybody, I would compare it to TKO in WWE. If you guys watch, but if you guys don't know, people have accused TKO of not really caring about anything, but they just want to bring money in the door. They don't really care about the wrestlers. All they care about is making money and putting butts in the seats. And I feel like that's the same here with the new Dallas Mavericks ownership. It don't really seem like they care about the fans or what they want. They just care about making money. So, you heard a long time ago, Mark Cuban, would put everything in, put all of his money into keeping his players happy. I don't know. It doesn't really seem like this new ownership doesn't really like this. And if I'm players who are thinking about signing with Dallas in the future, I would think about that. Even if I'm a coach in Dallas, like I wouldn't want to stay with a franchise that doesn't like you. So once again, while this move is good for the team and it works out in the next couple of years, I think this could hurt you long term because of the fact that guys might not want to come play for you if the ownership's not good. I don't know. But now you can celebrate for the Dallas Mavericks. Obviously, in the short term, Anthony Davis is going to be coming back. You signed Kyrie Irving. You just drafted Cooper Flag. Life is good for the Dallas Mavericks. You have a good young roster. Derek Lively, um, Daniel Gafford is there as well. You have Spencer Dinwiddie. Like you have a good team for the Mavericks. So you're in a good position for the next 2 years or 3 years, honestly, with your tight championship window. So I'm happy from the Dallas Mavericks right now. And then anyway, the next signing here, and the last we're talking about this in the video, last topic of the video, I should say. The Houston Rockets guard Fred VanVleet intends to sign a 2-year, $50 million contract to stay with the franchise. With a player option in the 2026-2027 season, the Rockets are declining VanVleet's $44.9 million team option and land the new deal with Clutch Sports CEO Rich Paul. Not the last part I don't care about. But anyway, moving on. What does this signing mean for the Rockets? I love it because the money makes sense and the timeline matches up. The Rockets they're pretty good when it comes to salary at the current moment in time. You traded away Jalen Green and Dylan Brooks, and you pretty much got the same salary for that being Kevin Durant. So I'm very happy on the Houston Rockets about that. Now the Rockets just need to go full force. I mean, you have a great team if you're the Rockets. The timeline matches up in your 2-year window with this core, and you had one of the best coaches in the NBA, that being Ime Udoka. So if I'm the Houston Rockets, I am very, very happy about this move. And I'm celebrating right now. But you have to produce. You have to win a championship. Kevin Durant and his last 2 teams has not even been able to get to the conference finals. So if you're the Houston Rockets, you got to make sure that happens. You got to make sure that you at least get to the finals in your championship window. But you have to win, honestly, because when Kevin Durant leaves, are you going to win with just Alperen Sengun, depending on his development? I don't know. You got to win right now if you're the Rockets. But also, one thing I forgot to bring this up about the Mavericks. If I'm down, Jason Kidd apparently wants to go to the Knicks. That's been a report. Once again, that's something about the ownership. We could be seeing the writing on the wall here when it comes to this ownership of the Dallas Mavericks. They might be worse than we thought or than we think. I still don't think that Luka Doncic trade was just because of Nico Harrison. I really think the ownership had something to do with it. I'm telling you, I don't like this ownership, man. Something fishy about it. Something's going on in that organization. I can't really put my finger on it. But yeah, that'll do it for this video, guys. Once again, I hope you guys enjoyed. Just talking about the plethora of moves. I'm glad that we were able to get this video out, just because like all these moves have been happening, and the internet was bad, and where I was, it just wasn't fun. It just was not fun at all. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. I think if you guys like this stuff, let me know. Just talking about all these moves in chunks. It's a lot of talking for me though. But yeah, I like this, honestly. Just talk about all these moves in chunks, and we'll hopefully we can continue to keep doing what we're doing here. But yeah, that'll do it for the video, guys. Make sure to subscribe with your post notifications on. Go subscribe to my brother in the Great Blogs. Make sure to go subscribe to my second channel at Ryan the Combat Great. Make sure you guys go follow me at X Ryan the Great RTG. Make sure you guys go follow me on TikTok at Ryan the Great RTG. Make sure you guys go listen to the latest edition of the CR7 podcast. Make sure you guys go follow me on Instagram at Ryan Sully Sports Media. And as always, Ryan the Great out. Peace.